So this is your reading for July 2023, Scorpio. It's taken us a long time to get here, but we're here. We're rounding out the last 5 signs of the zodiac in the next 2 days. Scorpio, you are up. This is a reminder. This is for Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus. So depending on which one of those you are, you're going to have different stuff going on astrologically. So you won't hear me say too much about housing positions because that's going to be all subject to change. Also, if you're in Venus, this is primarily going to be about love and relationship for you if you have a Scorpio placement in Venus. Apologies today if I take extra air in. The air quality in the Hudson Valley is terrible, and it's getting like worse by the minute. So we're inside, but I mean, I don't know how air works. I don't feel like there's just a barrier to the outside. It's like the air, I don't know. We're not going to implode like a submarine or a submersible, but, I don't know how air works. So we'll just go into the basic kind of cosmology and what I believe about astrology. Apologies if you had to hear this at the beginning of every episode or not episode, live stream for this. It's just I want to make sure that everyone understands that in these initial first month of readings, and then I won't mention it again. Maybe I'll put a little blurb at the bottom. So, listen, at the end of the day, this is you driving the show. Your life is your own creation. It is exactly what you believe, perceive, have faith in, have conviction and persistence in. That's like what shapes the actual quality and context and experience of your life. However, tools like astrology and tarot can be amazingly insightful for getting below the surface, finding out subconscious, archetypal energy, just things that are actually really driving our behavior more than we can consciously think about. So I really particularly like astrology and tarot. So we're combining those two. We're going to be looking at some planetary movement. Actually, hold on. Let me pull that up so it's where I need it. And then also we're going to be pulling a bunch of cards, and those cards are related to the energy that we can expect in July 2023. So yeah, that's it. I want to be clear that none of this is like an energetic weather report. This is not like this is going to happen to you and this is going to be a shitty day. It's very often you'll have a day where it says, there's this square, there's that square, there's this opposition, and you had a fine day, and it was totally fine. It's not really about that. It's about kind of the energy that is permeating the entire month and how this stuff overall, should hit you and what you can do with that practically. Like we're not just finding this out for no reason. We want to be able to practically have this information. And if it occurs that you were having a really shitty day and you see that there was a planetary influence that day, you'll be like, oh, maybe I can blame it on that. But ultimately, it is you. It is going to be your decisions in life that shape and contour the aspects, and it's your life. Okay, so let's just talk about some key dates for Scorpio. So Scorpio, let's talk about you, Scorpio. I am a Scorpio rising in tropical and a Scorpio moon in Vedic, and I very much resonate and feel the Scorpio vibes. And I think people perceive me as Scorpio vibes a lot because of my rising predominantly being there. What's up, Plan Alpha? Hey, yeah, it's Scorpio. You've been waiting for this one. I know. Okay. So for Scorpio, listen, here's the deal. Our sign, it represents kind of creation and destruction. It is very feminine energy in the sense that it is the archetypal creator and destroyer. Ruler of the 8th house, Pluto is the ruling planet. There's a lot of energy dealing with karma, death, transformation. It's a water sign, so we know this is going to be related to our emotions, and it's just the depths. There's the deep. It's actually the only sign that is represented by 3 different symbols. So you have the lobster or the scorpion, which a lot of people know, in the actual water. Then you have, what is it? I think is it the eagle? Gosh, did I just forget the second one? I think it's an eagle. Yeah, it's an eagle. And then it's also the phoenix. Right? So this resurrective type of amazing, bring back to life energy is also there. So it's a very powerful sign. And like I said, it's very, we feel things on the depths. It is really we're deep out there, kind of the heavy mystical questions of transformation and metamorphosis. That's what Scorpio vibes are all about. So relatively intense, it's not like a flighty air sign. It's there's some deep shit going on with Scorpios almost all the time. And this month is really no different. The keywords that I want to kind of bring up are cosmic tension and kind of opposing forces. So this is a lot of signs in July because there's just a lot of planetary action going on with planets moving into other signs and a lot of opposition squares depending on where your planets are. There's just like a lot of action, but with all of that action, there is going to be a lot of opportunities. There's going to be really the opportunity to work on your shadow self, right? And kind of embrace your dark side, if that makes sense. It doesn't mean like turn into a serial killer and just start doing fucked up shit, but like coming to terms with the aspects of your being that maybe, aren't society and culturally appropriate, right? Like this is the stuff that you kind of know. You have tendency to do things that maybe would be frowned upon or not looked at, in a way. And it might not be true. It might just completely in your head. But nevertheless, everyone has a shadow side. The people who say they don't have a shadow side or they've worked on their shadow side and it's fully integrated, don't trust those people. It's just like they just haven't discovered the depths of where their shadow goes. And it's cool. We honor and we acknowledge shadow work. It's not something we run away from. It actually makes you a much more complete whole person, right? We live in a realm of duality. There's good and there's bad. There's light and there's dark. There's hot and there's cold, right? You can do it forever. There's dualities of almost everything on this earthly dimension. So we want to acknowledge the shadow stuff as well. So also on July 11th, Mars enters Virgo. And this is for everyone, but this is a time that like we actually have an opportunity to like plan, work out some stuff, do the heavy lifting, projects potentially being moved forward for you, Scorpio. So just like, that's a positive time, but that also is a nexus point there, July 11th, because from July 12th into 28th, you have like a period of time where like there's a lot of energy and like don't let your guard down. I don't mean that in like, oh, we could have your guard up, you're going to be freaked out. It's just like don't get lulled into a false sense of security, right? Because this is still a time for like deep introspective work for you, Scorpio. So please don't just think like you've done the work. Okay, it's all done. You've been resurrected. No big deal. Like being diligent and being meticulous. This is this Virgo energy, right? Just this is like an important time to like really like bear in and focus on like the particulars of maybe energies that would be considered a little darker than normal. The moon enters Scorpio on July 21st. This is an excellent time to delve into your subconscious mind. You will be able to penetrate those barriers. The veil will be very loose. You'll be able to lift it up and actually get some work done. Whenever the moon is in Scorpio, you got the water, emotions. It's a good time to plunge into the deep and kind of resonate with the water aspect of your emotions and your intuitive ability and kind of like learn some stuff. So we could say almost a month moving up until July 21st is like putting in the work, kind of getting to the place you need to go, getting down to the depths. And then once that 21st rolls around, it's like, okay, let's dive in. We got the moon here. Let's take advantage of this. It's going to be a very like introspective and intuitive month. You may notice a lot of synchronicities. You may notice a lot of kind of like mystical occurrences that are taking place, and just feel a little more in touch with like the oneness around you. And if that's been lacking, you can look forward to that because it's definitely going to be one of those months for you. Like, again, a great time to connect with your intuition. And then one other thing I want to mention, because we got the water to water connection. Sorry, I got an itch here. Jeez. New moon in Cancer on July 17th, right? And this is opposing Pluto. So this is shadow work, right? This is emotional shadow work again. And this is like a new moon. It's a great time for setting your, affirmations and directions and things you would like to, aspirations is the word I'm looking for. Just like be ready to focus on that. Okay, that's your astrological preview. There's other stuff going on in the planet, obviously. In everyone's chart, but that's just like the brief Scorpio overview. So let's see what the cards have to say. Four of Pentacles reversed. This card is coming up in almost every reading. Seven of Pentacles reversed. And Seven of Swords upright. Okay. So Four of Pentacles is actually not the worst card to see reversed. So with the Four of Pentacles upright, we see it kind of... This dude is clinging to this pentacle in his arms, kind of making the infinity Ouroboros shape. He's got the pentacle on top of his head and two pentacles that his feet stand upon. And as you can tell, this has to do with security, money, kind of like holding on to something a little bit too tightly. When we see it reversed, it's almost like you understand that when you cling to something so tightly, it doesn't serve you. Like, that's when things get weird. That's when they get wonky. I've used the pencil analogy where you're holding the pencil and you kind of let it go, and that kind of exhale, that energy of releasing. But this is kind of pointing to the thing, like, you probably know in areas of your life, I'm thinking for Venus placements, especially Scorpio, your relationships, maybe you're clinging on a little too tight. And this isn't just for Venus. If you're a Scorpio and you're dealing with relationship issues, maybe lighten the touch a little bit. Don't get so wound up and invested. And that's another thing for this month. Like, if you push hard in the realm of relationships, particularly, it's just going to get very intense. Not saying bad, I'm not saying negative, but if you want like a chill and relaxing month, this is a card that's going to basically be reminding you, like, let the tension go a little bit. Don't push so hard in certain areas. You will certainly have ample opportunities to push and do some amazing things and really get like a incredibly, awesome experience in your relationship. It's just, this is the month, like the more energy you put into it, it's like a doubling, a quadrupling, octupling. It's like you're exponentially going to be going up the, intensity ramp. And so that's just something to keep in mind. And you can do whatever you want, obviously, but it is a good time to remember, like, hey, maybe like pump the brakes just a little bit and don't cling so tightly. That's really what it is. It's letting go of being so attached to something. If this is in the realm of money, same deal, right? Like, don't want it so bad. Don't freak out if you don't see it in front of your face right now. That's just pushing the thing away. You're holding it too tightly. Just allow things to come to you. Really be comfortable with sitting back and allowing things to come to you rather than clinging and holding. Also, like, don't try to like hold on to something too tight so you don't lose it. Okay, very important there. Like, don't that's when you lose things, is when you're holding it so fucking tight. You're not giving it any room to breathe, especially if it's another person. You're probably smothering them. So they like the intensity, right? But you don't want to be too crazy with it. Seven of Pentacles points again to kind of there's stuff that you want, that you'd like to receive, you'd like to experience, you'd like to get, but you're just not trusting the process fully in terms of letting those things show up and be there. The Money is a Meme is a good episode, Plan Alpha. But basically, like, you don't want to be so caught up that you keep checking on things to see if they're going to happen, right? And this is an internal psychic process. So again, if we're relating this stuff to like shadow work, like, there is energy below your threshold of awareness of what you can consciously perceive. There is energy there, archetypal energy, subconscious stuff, unconscious stuff, like a whole bunch of stuff, that it's worth getting in connection and like familiar with that. And this is where the Seven of Swords is coming in too. Like, maybe doing a little like secret mission into your subconscious. I would pay particular attention to your dreams this month. Maybe even keep a dream journal to see what themes are coming up. Like, we're looking for ways to get in touch with our subconscious, like shadow work stuff. And that's not going to be something that typically shows up and, really like comes and shows itself in front of you, unless you're just like totally freaking out and being a, sociopath in life. And that's not what I mean, really. It's just like that stuff takes a little bit of digging to get into, because most people don't dwell in the arena of, darkness. So like, just, this is a good time to maybe keep track of when you're really feeling a psychic connection, when you're really feeling kind of energy that feels like it's from a deeper aspect of your being. That's the time to maybe start asking questions and being like, hey, like, what pattern, when did this pattern start in relation to this event? Like, when did I start acting like this? Maybe you're yelling at people. Maybe you're being deceptive. Maybe you're stealing. I don't think really that one, but like, maybe you're doing something. Maybe you're lying to someone, right? And sometimes when we're lying to people, if we just keep going with it, it builds and builds until it actually crushes you. Maybe you can look at reasons that you're running patterns that aren't healthy and try to come up with a way to access where like the beginning point of that was. That's like a very, very important thing to do. And I say with the Seven of Swords here, a good way to do that is dreams. We have the swords, it's in the mental realm, but like, it's you can maybe take a shortcut. So I think the last reading for Virgo was like very important. They didn't take shortcuts last month. This is an okay time to kind of maybe take that shortcut. It's very like scorpionic, mysterious thing to do. So I like that for you there in terms of shortcuts. I have my kids today because the air was so bad I couldn't send them to camp. So if they get loud, I'm gonna have to go. Be like, hey guys, here's the deal. Daddy cares about your health, but gotta be quiet. Tower reversed. This is gonna be an intense month, Scorpio. Yeah, look at this. 10 of Swords reversed. You know, didn't we get the same exact sequence? It wasn't quite like this, but it was very similar. I shuffled these like 5-6 times, so. Okay, Tower reverse. This is like emotional upheaval, right? The Tower indicates cataclysmic change, but when we see it in the reverse position, this is like emotional upheaval. I would allow yourself to cry at some point in July if you feel like you need to get it's very important to get the emotions out this month. The good news is this is going to be a process that really shifts you into a new, it's like a purge. It's like a purge or like a fire that burns everything down, and you're going to be able to really like start a new life, a new identity, a new way of being. So it's hazy in North Carolina too. Yeah, like the air is just nuts. It's really nuts. Like Canada, come on, get your shit together. But this is like a really good opportunity to really like be that person that you know that you are, that maybe you haven't been acting like. But to get there is going to require like an emotional upheaval. I don't want to say crying necessarily, but like it's like there could be a fight. There's something that is going to be like a big event that allows you to get emotion out. And I think that is likely to be the opportunity to really like examine your dark side, your shadow stuff. And like that shouldn't push you away. It shouldn't be like, oh God, I don't want to do that. It's actually like, I can tell you, like shadow work is some of the most satisfying work, because so many of these energies are just like not accessible to us like in everyday life, or you know, even if we're trying to actively get in touch with them. But this is like, the veil is thin this month for you guys, and it's a great time to go digging for like some subconscious truths that you may not have examined, or maybe you kind of felt that they were there but you weren't able to actually go into them and kind of figure out why. But yeah, cry, thumbs up. We like the crying. And then the moon, again, this is all pointing to emotional content, right? Like this is what this is. This isn't going to be a surface level thing. This isn't going to be you like thinking logically or analytically about a problem and that's upsetting you. Oh boy. It's going to be like an emotional tug and pull. And it's like trying to like, the image I get is like someone like pulling something from within someone's body with like a rope, and like pulling it out and like tugging it out. Like that's kind of what it feels like. And when you tug it out, you're going to have this thing in front of you and you're going to be like, holy shit, what is that? Is that actually how I am? And you just have to look at it, maybe have a conversation with it. That's a decent thing to do, is just kind of imagine pulling someone pulling you, making a twin of yourself, pulling it out of your body, and then having a conversation with that being, that shadow presence that's there. It's not the whole thing, but it's like, you can get some insight that way, because like the work you do this month is really going to help you integrate aspects of your being that maybe you've been pushing off for a really long time. And this would creep out in all aspects of life, right? If you're in a relationship, it's when you're a dick to your partner, or maybe when you get offended by your partner, or they do something that makes you upset or sad or mad or whatever it is. Like there's a reason that's happening. And if you are aware of that reason, you probably would have a greater chance of not just reacting to situations and kind of having to deal with the aftermath of that, but like understanding it and getting some perspective and being able to move past it. Here's the thing, I think the relationships keep coming up, because like any energy you send towards relationships this month is going to be amplified. I'm going to just keep saying that, because it really will be. And you just want to know like what's the level of intensity you want to experience in July. So yeah, that was kind of a shadow twin. Oh, I was wondering, the Lovers has not made an appearance this entire run so far. The Lovers, speaking of relationships, speaking of, oh, wonderful. 5 of Wands upright, and then the Hermit reversed. may want to be maybe wanting some space this month. We'll see. But the lovers, again, like we're talking about this cosmic energy between people, right? This soulmatey kind of destiny feels right type of thing. And like it's like a mystical union of energies. It's not just another person, right? It would be too simple to say like, hey, this is just in the realm of relationships. This is you also balancing your masculine and feminine energies and being able to use that balance and harmony to gracefully move through whatever situations you're facing in life. Five of Wands here, the reason I said nice is like Five of Wands upright is just like full on conflict. It's just like arguing, disagreeing, but this shows a path where that doesn't really need to happen. There's a way to kind of alleviate that or avoid that confrontation if you're being wise about how you approach it. And again, the lovers here is kind of giving us an indication to what that might be, which is like balance your masculine and feminine. Have your logic working with your intuition. Have a way where you can analyze a situation competently, but then also feel that that is the right way to navigate that situation. If you have those two things working in tandem, you're going to be able to move through and past conflict quite easily. You'll probably just avoid it altogether. So the lovers there is giving us a signal of like how to move past conflict. And that's, again, kind of what I was pointing about in the realm of relationship. Like, you figure out the level of intensity you would like to experience and you go accordingly. If it's a low level and it's not something you want to be like a very dramatic month, then maybe don't put a ton of energy in and maybe you skirt that problem, not so bad. The Hermit reversed here is like, listen, you need some time for yourself. It's important to take time for yourself. There's two things that are coming here though. Okay. So you do need to have some space for yourself to actually get in touch with your deepest, darkest aspects of being. And then the flip side is that maybe you're alone and maybe you've been alone for so long that it's like kind of hard to see your way out of being alone. And so you might actually be going from solitude, which is awesome, to loneliness, which is not awesome. I mean, I don't want to be too labely with those things, but loneliness sucks, right? Like it feels like there's no one there for you. You don't have support. You might have family or friends, but it's not the same as having like another, partner, romantic partner in your life. And if that's your vibe, if that's how you're feeling, the best way to get out of that is just start looking at you and taking care of yourself, the way you love yourself, the way you would want someone else to love you. Right. So just like actually do that, like go do the things you want to be doing, go out into the world, like get interested in the stuff that you are naturally interested in, go to those places, read about those things, maybe even make a plan to travel somewhere, but like don't wait for someone else to come and validate you. A weird thing happens is when you actually start to take care of yourself like that, you then begin to emanate and attune your vibratory frequency where people start just coming to you and you start meeting a lot more people. And one of those people could actually be a romantic partner or just someone who you can share your life with. So just remember that that's like an important kind of tool to use if you are feeling lonely or have felt lonely, because that may be amplified. If I'm talking about all this partner stuff and you don't have a partner, you're like, fuck this. What's going on? I'm lonely. And I get that. I understand. The flip side of it is like, yeah, if you're just not able to get the space this month, you kind of just got to roll with it. You know what I mean? Like sometimes you just have to surrender to situations and be like, shit, like this ain't the month for me to be doing my introspective work. At a certain point, you have to prioritize that. Like no matter what, like I don't know about you, but for me, if I don't get like a certain amount of alone time in a given month, like I start to crack at the seams. I'm just like, fuck, I cannot function as a human being. Like I don't have any time to think or feel or do these things. And like, that's essential for me. I think for a lot of people, but I've learned over the years, like definitely something that happens for me. Okay, let's pull some animal oracles, see what else you got going on in the month of July. See the big picture. And that's like what this integrative work this month is really about. Like when we're talking about the shadow work, it really is like get the complete picture of everything that's going on. Let me turn my phone off. Sorry, guys. It really is about seeing like the complete full picture of everything that's going on in your life. Yeah. Or just one of those months. Lost spirits, sometimes life stings. And that's okay. It like this again, and this is where I really like to point out, this doesn't mean you're gonna have like a stinging day in July. Now, if you do, just remember that it's temporary, it's not a big deal, and sometimes, often, you know, that moves us to a place where we get some really like deep lesson that maybe we were pushing off. Uh, Life stinging, whether it's emotional, psychic, or physical pain, it goes through this process, right? First, you have this ability to deal with your issues on like a very like high level of like, okay, let me integrate this fully. Let me really delve into and honor that energy. You have an opportunity to deal with it there. Then you probably have the opportunity to deal with it like mentally. Well, let me think about this issue. And depending on who you are, these two could be flipped here, but let me think about this a little bit and get some perspective on it. And then sometimes you have this emotional quality of like, let me feel this problem. Like, let me feel the weight of it and the energy of it. And if it's painful, you might not want to do that. After that point, it goes to the physical level where it's like, hey, fucker, bonk. You feel that? You weren't dealing with that, bonk. Because disease is just dis-ease. Like, there is a distortion somewhere that you have had multiple opportunities to deal with, and that's like physically, here you go. So this doesn't mean that like you're going to be in physical pain or emotional pain or any of those. It just means like think about the aspects of life, shadow work that are kind of like, it makes me feel a little bit weird, that type of stuff. Yeah, I need your alone time and your partner doesn't. Yeah, I feel you. Like, starfish spirit, open to infinite possibility. And that feels like also the core message here. Like, if you are able to do the integrative work, and really feeling like the totality of your emotions and being, light and dark, good and bad, that's when those infinite possibilities open up. That's when that energy kind of really begins to like call, and you can hear it and you're like, oh, okay, I get this. I can actually do like whatever it is I want because I really understand that like there's an infinite spectrum of possibilities, and it's just kind of where I'm vibrating at or attuning myself to that takes me through to and through those situations. Yeah, just going into like you need alone time with your partner, like I get it. Like, it's just like, and you'd be surprised sometimes, like a lot of times your partner may think they don't want the space. And I'm not in one of these relationships right now, but like everyone wants space on some level. Like every single person wants space. They may not realize that, but everyone wants. Some people may want more or less than others, but like everyone needs some time to get in touch with themselves, even if it's just like a few times a year. Like everyone deserves and needs that. But yeah, I get it. I feel you. Let's do some threads of fate. I've shuffled these all like so many times, by the way, like real deal shuffles. So they keep coming up the same. Okay, the creator, yes. Versatility with the cannabis leaf and the rat on it. And the sovereign. And then we've got the moon there too with the sovereign, if you can see. Yeah, double-sided. So, okay, let's look at this here. The creator is obviously, we see the wand, like the magic wand creating stuff. And this is what all of the intense like work, or I don't want to call it work, all the intense energy this month, and it is going to be like an intense month for you, Scorpio, is really just to get you to a point where you step into the role of like really being in charge of your life, right? And then for you, Scorpio, this month, that really is in the realm of like emotions and shadow emotions in particular, and getting a hold of them. The card that comes to mind for me in the tarot is like the Queen of Wands. It's like being aware of your shadow material, having it comfortably sit beneath you, like where you're aware that it's there, but also like kind of making it your pet, like something you can acknowledge and love and care about, but something that's not going to like turn into this vicious beast that's just going to attack you and you have to worry about it. It's like a house cat that you've, made very sweet and nice, and, maybe it's a bit aloof at times, but I mean, like, this also just sounds like a Scorpio description of someone. But basically, like, your ability to really integrate these two, not two, but like light and dark, so I guess it is two sides of yourself, really allows you to step into that powerful creator role. And that's what all of this intense energy this month is ultimately trying to move you towards, is like a very powerful creator, creatrix type vibe. Versatility here, right? We love this card with the cannabis leaf and the rats. Like, that's all that's saying. Like, you probably have a lot of skills and a lot of tools at your disposal. Don't be shy to use those, right? If you're a quick-minded person, if you can feel things really deeply, if you're a great organizer, if you're a great planner, if you have various talents creatively, like, whip those all up and see what comes out. Like, really try to apply all of your different skill sets to like your life this month with this intense energy and see what sticks. It may be a combination of things, it may be one thing or another, but and it's just coming out again. Please pay attention to your dreams this month, your actual dreams. When you go to sleep and you're saying, hey, no, I smoke a lot of weed, I don't really dream that much, whatever it is, I don't dream that much. Just write down your dreams. Whatever you can remember when you wake up, whenever you wake up, keep a notebook by your bed, get a pen, literally just write down what it is. And if that sounds like you're not going to do it, okay, well, then you're going to have to try to remember your dreams another way. But that is a foolproof way of actually getting into your dreams and like understanding what the broad themes, because like when we're talking about shadow work, like a lot of us do not play that out on this level. Or if we do, it's like isolated incidents where like we just don't have the ability to kind of like make a decision whether we want to act like that, or B, like really acknowledge and look at what we've done. Like I think for myself, like if I rage out at some point, just completely like inappropriate response to a situation, I don't want to dwell on how much of an asshole I was and how much a dick I was. But if I go through a dream sequence where there's a clear shadow element and it's doing something, that's going to give you the same energetic blueprint as whatever pattern you played out on this realm. Like when you acted a fool, or, you acted jealous, or you got greedy, or whatever it is. And those are both themes that could very well come out. Greed for sure. And then we have the sovereign. And again, this is being in charge, right? It's very like, this is your life. This is your ability to actually create and experience the things you want to. No one else is running this show. It's 100% you. It's easy to blame other people. It is a natural tendency to blame other people, circumstances, situations, experiences, whatever it is. But it's not ultimately satisfying. Like I'm sure you've noticed if you've done that, like it just doesn't like scratch the itch. So, you just got to like get ready for the ability to like do the work, right? That's what it is. That's what just keeps coming up. Like, do the work, but it's intense. It's intense this month for you, Scorpio, but it's not a bad thing. None of this feels like bad energy. You should also, like, of all the signs, you're probably the most well suited for doing this type of work. It is underground, kind of coming back and forth, up and down through dark and light. And that's like Scorpio's role in a lot of ways. Again, creation, destruction. Like that is a big part of your being. So being able to do this work, like if you gave, I don't know, like a Virgo this work, it's probably not going to go as well. Even a Capricorn. Capricorn's okay, actually, for that. Nature's Whisper says bountiful harvest. And again, I do think you get that. I think that the rewards are there for the plucking and taking if you put in the fucking juice for what you need to do. You go do some deep, dark dive in spelunking, you're going to come back with some jewels, right? That's where the good stuff is. So, I just ultimately feel like this is going to be a month of like intense energy, but positive intense if you're willing to meet it and face it head on. That's the overall vibe that I get. And just based on the astrology and these cards that are coming up, like, yeah, let's see what else we got. Good. Decision has been made. You're going to do it. May get a little rocky at some point, but then you will be able to find the lightness. We love this card for Scorpio. Okay, so Two of Swords is basically like there has been this untenable decision. You've been torn between two different things. And in July, if you haven't already made this, but in July, you will absolutely you will take a stance. You will move to a side. You will make this decision. It is going to be clear to you. You're going to emotionally feel it. You're going to be able to intellectually process it, and you are going to go. Plan Alpha, great question. What's your outlook on DMT psychs in general this month? So based on the cards that I'm seeing here, if you were to do DMT or other psychedelics, just be ready for like really powerful experiences. And you know what I mean by that. Powerful experiences. That doesn't necessarily mean fun or smooth. It can often mean just the opposite. But it is going to be a very powerful and transformative experience if you were to take psychedelics. Me personally, what I have going on in my life, like I would maybe microdose just to get like a taste of what is happening and then make a decision if I wanted to go like fully down that rabbit hole. But I don't know. Like everyone has to make their own decisions when it comes to things like that. But I just feel like ultimately, like this is a very intense month. So if you know that going in and you kind of mentally prepare yourself and emotionally prepare yourself for that, of course, go for it. But ultimately, it's like very set and setting. The setting is like intense. It's an intense setting. So like this wouldn't be like chilling out, taking it at your house. I mean, even if you were doing this, not what I'm saying, but like this is like you're going to a concert, like a fucking rowdy ass rave or concert. That's like the mental or space equivalent if you were to do psychedelics or mind altering drugs in the month of July. So like that's everyone's, like depending on who you are. I mean, Scorpio, like you're more suited for that type of work, right? You're more suited for dealing with like the ups and downs and the darks and the lights. Like that is somewhat of a scorpionic feature, especially relative to all of the other zodiac signs. Like you can handle this. That's like one of the coolest things about Scorpios. I think Scorpios can get a bad rap because, you know, they can be seen as aloof or sometimes even overly sexual by people. But it is really just like a depth of personality that I think a lot of people miss because Scorpio is mysterious, right? There is that contact with the deeper levels of being that not everyone comes into touch with. And that's alluring too. It's just at the end of the day, for yourself, you want to make sure you are really like aware of what is going on and how you're feeling. Like ultimately you are a water sign. If you have a Scorpio moon, you know, my rising is Scorpio. I have a Scorpio moon in Vedic. Like your feelings are used to going through these oscillations of like very like acute awareness of like the horror and the sadness of the world, but also being able to see the ecstasy and joy and, you know, amazing creative potentials in the world. And it's both of those perspectives that allow you to kind of come up with like your overall viewpoint. So just back to the cards, like Six of Wands here reversed. It's like, yeah, like this might not be the month you come out saying like, wow, I did it. It was the best. Like, what a time to be super happy and amazing. Doesn't mean you're going to be doing the opposite of that. It's just like, that's probably not what this month is designed for. This month is more of like, get these experiences, feel what level of intensity you really want to delve into, but put together this plan or like this curriculum for yourself to really like integrate as many aspects of your being as you can as possible. Like that's really what it is. And then the Page of Cups is here to remind us like, don't take any of this shit too seriously. Like Scorpios also generally have a very good sense of humor because of that awareness of everything, right? Like comedians and stuff like that. But just should, you know, not take any of this shit too seriously. That's your perfect antidote to any intense energy, just to be clear. If you're looking at it, the more serious you take something, the more like, oh my God, this is going to like change everything. It's going to define my life. This is so intense. I can't take it. Just laugh at it. Be curious at the least. Be like, this sounds really interesting. Like I'm kind of into this because like, I'm not sure what this is about, but it sounds really interesting. Those perspectives will keep you afloat and buoyant. Keep it light. Exactly. Like that is the best. And again, I just want to juxtapose that with the intensity of this month. A lot of that there points to maybe don't push super duper hard with the intensity. And this definitely comes up in the realm of relationship. Like maybe keeping it light is keeping it light. And don't ramp up the energy in a relationship if that's like your goal is to keep it light. And if the goal is to keep it light on some level, I mean, it can be, lightness is like it's a subjective thing for everyone. Someone's light, maybe someone's heavy and extreme overload for someone else. But you know internally where that like laughter and just kind of like levity comes from. And that's kind of like, if you can see the cosmic like wink and joke at everything this month, that's going to make this way easier for you. You'll gracefully move through this in a way that probably is going to be very impressive to yourself and anyone else who's witnessing you kind of go through this. But it is one of those months, again, I say the 21st of July, when the moon hits you in Scorpio, that's like that's like your first signpost. Be like, where am I at? How has this month been going? How do I feel? Is it intense? Is it not intense? Have I put in the work? Have I not put in the work? Have I been able to see the kind of hilariousness of how ridiculous so much of this stuff is? Or am I taking it really seriously? And is this kind of like, way too intense for me? And I got to pump the brakes a little bit because I want to end this month not feeling like completely burnt the fuck out. You know what I mean? Let's pull another Nature's Whispers. I'm feeling it right now. Intuition, yeah. And like that's the other thing. This month is probably going to be intuition overload. And if you've been out of touch with that, if it feels like you've just been a little bit out of sync with that intuitive aspect, this month you're absolutely going to be right back in the flow of things. Without a doubt. Like it's this, you almost can't avoid that aspect in July. It's just going to be one of those months where you're like, oh shit, synchronicity. Oh shit, I really feel this way about something. I've got a gut feeling. I don't know why. It's so strong. And that's nice. It's nice when those feelings are present. Just, again, don't get lost in the sauce. You know what I mean? All right, Scorpio, we will be back. What are we doing after this? Is it Sag? I think it might be Sag. All right, so I'll be back with either one more today or two more today. I got the kiddos, so you know how it goes. But we will have all of these done by the end of tomorrow. So stay tuned for those.